Welcome to Via Voices, the podcast dedicated to exploring the many facets of assisted living and memory care. In each episode, we will delve into a range of educational topics featuring expert guests, real-life stories, and practical tips and guidance to empower seniors and their families. Via Voices is your trusted resource for making informed decisions when it comes to senior living. Welcome to Via Voices, everybody. Today we're talking to Ira Branson, our Executive Director of our Tucson properties, and Amy Schumann, our Executive Director of our Sierra Vista properties. And today we've got a fun topic. Today we're going to talk about communication and how important it is and what expectations should be for communication. So as we think about communication, there's really the initial communication when you're looking for assisted living and what you should expect. And then there's the communication once your loved one is in assisted living. Many times I've heard stories about people moving to assisted living and they go into a black hole and the family drops off their loved one. They're not allowed to visit. They don't know what's happening. And it makes a hard moment even harder to deal with. And so people ask us, what do you do when somebody moves in? Are we supposed to visit? Are we not supposed to visit? And it really all comes down to communication. So Ira, maybe you can kind of hit it off with the initial communications when we get a phone call and how we roll from there.
Absolutely. So when you start looking for assisted living, you're going to want to know, how they work. That communication from whatever facility your loved one is going to. You're going to be calling them up, setting up a tour, asking a lot of questions with that. So once you go in, you should expect for them to tell you exactly how they work. You should expect them to communicate their standards in care, their what protocols they have. For example, with fall risk, if your loved one's a fall risk. But you should also be open and honest with that community as to what your loved one is going through exactly, medical wise, behavioral wise, care wise, everything that your loved one is going through. That way, that community is also able to determine whether or not, your loved one would be appropriate for that. Without that communication with the facility, they're not going to be able to provide the adequate care. But they also have to be honest with you. So what kind of care levels they're able to provide to your loved one.
Some of the best tours that occur are when you come by yourself. You're free to speak about your loved one's needs. So I'm pretty sure we roll through what is the routine for your loved one? So what do you think about that when somebody shows up for a tour?
We start to ask them about their loved ones. So what is their routine like at home? What are some of the difficulties you're having at home? Is that, your loved one's falling and they're needing more assistance? Is that, you're gone all the time and you're not able to really adequately provide care? Do you have help at home? Do you have family members or even an outside agency coming in? What does that look like for you? Tell us what that day or what that week looks like for you and your loved one. What's that routine like?
A typical daily routine for your loved one. I think it's also important to discuss what they did in their lives, what their career was, be it a housewife or a bookkeeper or a CEO. What was their background and what excited them in their younger days?
Absolutely. We want to know those details about the residents. Any community that you go to, the more details that you are able to provide about their life, about their care, about, their behaviors at home, the better that community is truly able to make that transition into assisted living a little bit smoother. Because then the more we know, the more that we're able to truly make it personal for that resident.
And make connections too. Like, I mean,
Exactly.
there are numerous stories of connections that were made. You think when you're in assisted living, you don't make friends anymore, but it's pretty amazing how easily many people will connect and make friends with someone who's around their age and has similar needs that they have.
All right.
And I think when you're touring, if you can be very open about that, you can allow the staff to think about connections that can be made in the community.
Absolutely. And with moving in a loved one to the community, there's always a lot of guilt from the family. And, as you tour, just know that whatever community you do end up going with, having that connection with whoever it is that you're touring with makes a huge difference. Whether that be just a small phone call from them following up in regards to your loved one, or a quick email, it makes a huge difference when looking for assisted living for your loved one. When you've built that connection with whoever it is that you've toured with, you got to feel comfortable with whatever place you place your loved one at.
And I think it's also important with communication to decide to know who you're communicating with. Are you communicating with the sales and marketing director? Are you communicating with an executive director? Are you communicating with the clinical team? Who's communicating with you at the onset to set the expectations correctly?
Absolutely, because there's going to be a whole team that's going to be caring for your loved one. It's not just, that person
Right.
that's caring for or that's touring with you. There's going to be a clinical team, the caregiving team, and you have to be comfortable in all levels, and you have to be able to feel comfortable enough to be able to communicate with them, right?
Yeah. And then, so you've toured, you've brought your loved one, you're comfortable that you're making the right decision. So the next thing now is now your loved one has moved into the assisted living. So I'll hit it over to Amy here, who's our executive director in Sierra Vista and also a registered nurse. And maybe you can focus on what happens on that first day and how that evolves over the time frame of a new person's move-in, and why communication is so important.
Absolutely. I think it's important when you are placing your loved one in a community to know what the expectation is of the community, and for the community to know what those expectations are when they start off. So for us, we like to say first 100 hours, first 100 days, and you'll probably hear that at most communities. Your first couple of days are going to be a little harder when you place your loved one. Knowing who to expect communication from in those first few days is really important, because that's going to set the expectation moving forward with your loved ones. So on that note, you should expect to receive some type of welcome, ideally, whether that be from your health and wellness directors, your caregiving team, your executive directors. Somebody on the team should be reaching out to you to welcome you to the community and to provide you with contact information if you have questions, if you have concerns, and how to work the process at that community as you move forward. Those expectations are really important in the beginning so that you know which direction to go for which needs. Is it a maintenance need? Is it a clinical need? Is it a question about billing and accounting? Knowing who your person is to contact in those situations is crucial during those first few days and those first 100 days as they start to make relationships.
Do you think people are nervous about, oh, I keep calling, I keep asking questions? What would you recommend as a good way to communicate during those first 100 hours?
I just worked with a family recently and moved them in, and the spouse was really worried about her significant other moving into a community. Very independent resident who lived at home for a long time, did most of their activities independently. We emailed back and forth a lot of the basic things that they had forgotten on the day of move-in that they needed to bring in. I was able to coordinate that with the maintenance team. So your first few days, a lot of your communication will be with with probably the person who toured you. And then as you start to build your relationships with the clinical team, your communication will start to drive more with your clinical team as your loved one maybe has a fall, they have medication changes. Knowing the communication routine for those things is also crucial in this time period as well.
And I think it's important to communicate straight to the top of the chain of command in the first 100 hours. I think let the person in charge know what's happening, and if you can do that by email, or text, it just makes it a little easier because there's documentation. We don't forget. And it just makes it easier to follow up on the communication and be 100% responsive to every question.
Absolutely. And ideally, the person in charge that toured you or helped you make this move is going to connect you with the person that you'll communicate in the future with for those needs.
Right.
So I think that's how you build that relationship and that rapport with the rest of the team is through your direct contact initially.
Through your direct contact. And then it kind of builds through the chain of command, ultimately to the caregivers that are providing the 24-hour care in the house all day long. But I think if you start at the top and work through, the leadership team can make sure that your needs are being addressed with their staff. And then it works down to you get to know the staff, you get to know what's going on, and then you can work back up the chain. If there are things that you're hearing from the staff that are great, or things that you're hearing from the staff that maybe need a little more focus from the leadership team.
Absolutely. I think that also allows us to get to know your expectations of our team so that we can work on that with them. There are some families that want to be notified during specific time periods if something happens versus right away. You're going to find families who are more concerned with the nutritional part of their loved one's care versus the decline of their loved one. So you start to see, do they have a skin issue that they're worried about at move-in that you can communicate down to your clinical team to keep an eye on. So it just allows you the peace of mind of knowing that your family is in a community where you're getting the communication that you would like to have, and it's personalized to your loved one's needs.
And I think you can have very high expectations for communication when you're moving someone. I mean, this is your loved one that you're placing, and you want to have very high expectations for how the community where you place them communicates everything. And communication should be the good, the bad, the ugly. It should be everything. It should be transparent, and it's much easier to work through situations when the communication is transparent and clear.
Absolutely. I will say don't feel guilty for over communicating. I get that message a lot from loved ones. It's, I'm so sorry. I must be driving you crazy. I've emailed you 50 times this week. It's normal. This is something new and something difficult, and everybody is going through a transitional period. The more that we communicate and set those expectations, the easier this will be for everybody involved.
And then eventually it tapers off.
Yes,
right? There's
absolutely.
still communication, but when you make it through the first 100 hours and then the first 100 days, there's a routine. Most people that are living in assisted living and memory care appreciate the consistent routine that they get every day and the consistent caregivers and the consistent friends at the table. So after the first 100 days or during the first 100 days, the routine begins to manifest, and that's when everyone can kind of settle down and you can get your life back.
Absolutely.
Assisted living and memory care is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business, and you should be able to communicate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In the same respect, all of us that work in assisted living and memory care need to sleep at some point. So you want to make sure that there is an adequate team in place that can address concerns or understand if the concerns can be addressed during business hours or if they need to be addressed not during business hours. And you want to have somebody competent to talk to during that process. So is there ever a wrong time to communicate a need?
No. Never.
Never.
Absolutely not. Whether that be, you're calling at 2 a.m. because you're concerned about a medication, that should be available to you at all times. Or if it is a need that can be met during business hours, send a quick email to whoever is in charge of your loved one. So it's there is never a time. You have to be able to put your mind at ease and be able to go to sleep okay, knowing that your loved one's okay, and having that ability to just communicate that, whether that be an on-call number that you can call, or a quick text to somebody who you've connected with in the community, or even just an email. It gives us, gives the communities opportunities to be able to address those without that, middle of the night, 2 a.m. phone calls. But at the same time, it has to be available to you.
We all signed up for 24/7.
Well, you did.
Absolutely.
But we also have we have systems in place. And when you're looking
Exactly.
for communities, what kind of systems do they have? So can you just quickly describe what on-call means?
Yeah, absolutely. So wherever you place your loved one, make sure that in the beginning, when you're getting your contact information, you know what number to call for your on-call person. That person is available at any time that you call that number for an on-call service. So if you're calling that number, if they don't know the answer, they have a chain of command typically in place where they can get you that answer no matter the time of day that you're calling. I think knowing the system that's in place from the beginning keeps it easier for you as you move your loved one in. So getting that list of phone numbers for who you contact at what times makes it a lot easier. And knowing, do they have a director team that is available on the weekends, overnight? Do they have somebody in a leadership role who will be available to you in the after hours times? We know, doing memory care, guys, our folks overnight, that is their busiest time. They are up, they are starting to sundown sometimes. You start to see the behaviors, knowing how those things are communicated when mom's calling you 20 times at 10 o'clock at night, and who to get on the other end of the phone that can appropriately handle that situation is key as you move your loved one into these
So
situations.
as you're looking for assisted living and memory care, ask them about their on-call. Who staffs the on-call? Is it a answering service? Is it someone who works in the community and knows your loved one? And I know we all take turns with on-call.
Absolutely.
And so that allows us to know, okay, the phone's by my bed tonight, and then the phone is still by your bed, but your on-call might be from the on-call person who needs higher level help.
Right. And I think it's important to keep in mind that while you want somebody available 24/7, you want to find a place that also understands and appreciates work-life balance. If every time you're calling, you're getting the same person on that, they're exhausted, they're tired. Finding a place with the right systems in place, like Andy said, is crucial to making sure that your loved one gets that care.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's been a lot of fun. Thank you both very much. I appreciate it. And look forward to our next podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to and watching Via Voices, the podcast dedicated to exploring the many facets of assisted living and memory care. If you found today's episode informative, be sure to subscribe and tell a friend about us. We look forward to having you join us next time on Via Voices.